Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. And this is the weekly neutrino forecast for February 23rd to March 1st of 2014. Human design is based on 4 ancient wisdom systems as a bridge to understanding our potential to discover our path in making decisions that are correct for us as individuals. And those traditions are astrology, the I Ching, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, and the Kabbalistic tree of life. And the way these things all work together is, first of all, we start out by looking at the sun and the moon and the nodes and the other planets in the wheel, just as like we would with in astrology, except instead of relating them to each other or to zodiological constellations, we look at them in relationship to the hexagrams of the I Ching, which that's what these stacks of lines are all around the outside of the wheel, and then they get mapped to specific locations in the body graph. And this is a diagram of a blown up body graph here. On February 23rd, we have the sun. It's in Pisces, and it's in the 55th hexagram, and you can see the stack of lines for it. It goes yang, yin, yang, yang, yin, yin, because they're numbered from top to bottom. And that the body graph really is the next stage in human evolution, because what we have here, these shapes inside here are called centers, and they represent that human beings mutated in 1781, coincidental with Herschel's discovery of the planet Uranus, from having 7 chakras that we all know and love to now having all these 9 centers. The pathways between the centers are called channels. They're from the Kabbalah. And all these little black strips of paper here on this body graph represent gates that are being activated by the sun, the planets, and the nodes, regardless of whether they form a channel. So I'm gonna be following the moon in this demonstration. It really moves very, very fast. It activates 3 to 4 gates in a single day. So we're just going to focus on the planets, the nodes, the sun, and Earth. So we start out. We've got the sun. It's in the 55th hexagram. It's mapped to an opening in an energy channel that's called a gate. The 55th gate is the gate of spirit, abundance that's strictly a question of spirit. It's located over here in the solar plexus center, and an individual energy channel called the channel of Emoting that connects down here to the 39. And what I found with human design is it's really amazingly accurate. I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following hanging gates or potentials on February 23rd. We have the sun and Neptune are over here in the 55. The Earth is here in the 59. The North Node and Mars are both here in the 50th gate. The South Node is over here in the 3rd gate. Mercury is in the 49. Venus is in the 61. Jupiter is in the 39. And then we have Uranus in the 21 and Pluto in the 38. Obviously, not every gate activation forms a channel, but really, this is a very good information to have when you're following these transits, because it can be really helpful if you know your own human design chart. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com and click on the button that says Get Your Free Rave Chart, and then just enter in your birth information, and that way you can kind of see the patterns as they interact with your chart and what's going on during the week. All this week, we have Jupiter in the 39. It's connecting over here. Certainly the sun is in the 55, but Neptune is in the 55. And so this has brought us a real enduring, long definition of a channel, which gives us a defined root and defined solar plexus. And this is called the channel of Emoting, and it's been here for over a month now. and it will continue to be here until March 14th, which this tends to bring a period of time where people feel pressure in the form of an emotional wave. The best way to deal with this level of sensitivity is to appreciate the lows as well as the highs. Recognize that it's just part of our human experience, and it's temporary for those of us who don't have this channel in our birth charts. But it can bring lessons that yield wisdom as long as we stay in the present, of being aware that we're moving from hope to despair, back to hope in this cycle like that. And then you can really tap into a greater creativity by the fuel that comes out of this experience of melancholy, of feeling blue, because this is an individual channel, which brings that melancholy, that blue feeling that's really there to be used and channeled into something creative. This also brings a deeply romantic and acoustic sensitivity with this channel. So listening to music or talking to a loved one would be particularly favored. And on the 23rd, the day starts out with the sun in the fifth line of the 55, in the line of the heretic, and where and the sun in that fifth line of the 55 is detrimented, and it's the description of it is growth, an integrative openness that is broad, that in its broad acceptance of advice can be eventually eclipsed. The emotional openness where the spirit is at risk from conditioning. And then later the sun moves up into the role model, the sixth line of the 55 hexagram, and that begins at 7:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the times I'm going to give you for these transits are going to be Eastern Standard Time, so you want to convert that to your local time zone. And the sun in the 55-6 is selfishness. Exalted is the acquisition obsession that through alienating is still indirectly beneficial materially to others. The possibility of finding spirit through materialism. The detriment is where the material abundance exists, but no one gets to share the light. The possibility that materialism becomes obsessive, where a mean spirit that will not share, with a mean spirit that will not share. On the 24th, the sun moves out of the 55, and it moves into the 37, and also the Earth moves out of the 59 and into the 40. So that gives us this configuration here with the Sun, Earth forming this channel, which then defines the ego center with this definition. And this shift happens at 5:58 a.m. again Eastern Standard Time, with the sun in the 37th gate of friendship, the family, the manifestation, macro and microcosmically of the organic nature of communities. And the 37-1 is the mother or father, a position of inherent respect that ensures a focus for the development of guidelines. Exalted, its harmony is the key to successful maintenance of relationships. It's only through harmony that beauty and value of the family can adore. Friendship that's rooted in sensitivity and endures through harmony. And detriment of this, the detriment of this is there really is no planet in the detriment. So every planet comes in with the description of the exaltation for the 37-1. And I'm going to start talking about the quality of the lines of the day in this report. I haven't discussed it before. I was waiting for a week where we moved through a complete hexagram and hit every line without having to go over into a different day. So the first thing to realize is now that the sun is in the 37-1, is that days when we have a first, second, or third line days people are really looking inward. They're absorbed in their own process. The theme of the first line day is fear, and it's fear that needs to be investigated. It's a day to study, not to act, a day to look at things but not to jump, a good day to deal with the things you don't understand and can't make sense of or don't know. And then, of course, like I said, with the Sun-Earth axis here, we have the 3740 activation, and along with the 3420 and the 4323, this is one of the three polarities that form a channel. With the Sun-Earth axis in the 3740, we have the channel of community until March 1st. This definition brings the energy where people will wonder where they belong in the scheme of things. They try to live that out. It'll be a time of thinking about marriage and family as the foundation of community. Fairness becomes more important under the influence of the channel of community. Balance becomes important in all aspects of life. People will explore how they fit into their community, and on a more mystical level, how they fit into the universe and what's their true purpose. And then also on the 24th of February, Mercury moves from the 49 out of the revolution here and up into the 13, coming out of the G center here. And Mercury is the god, the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication, expansion of human consciousness through communications, not just as words, but also through music as a communicative force. So what do you really need to communicate in this life? Well, when you look at your own personal chart, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And when we have Mercury in the 13th hexagram, we communicate about listening, and because this is the gate of the listener, the fellowship of man, the universal ideas and values in ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. Being retrograde, Mercury enters in at the 6th line, where it's detrimented in the opportunist, the ability to accept any limitation as necessary towards a necessary step towards a greater union. So that's a general description of the 13.6. But the detriment is naivete, to be naive. The translation of mutual interest into universality. The belief that mutual interest can be projected on others. And then on the 25th, the Sun moves into the 2nd line. So it was in the 1st line, the investigator moves into the 2nd line of the 37th hexagram. And this change happens at 4:20 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. The Sun in the 37.2 is keynoted as responsibility. Exalted, it's the understanding of the principle of individual responsibility as a foundation for successful cooperation. The possibility of friendship through individual responsibility. Detriment is a tendency to point out the responsibility of others. The possibility that friendship's going to lead to pointing out the responsibility of others. The 2nd line days, everyone's waiting for something. The 2nd line is the hermit that's waiting for the call. So basically, people are really kind of stuck in their own trip. It's not a great day to have a party because nobody's going to come. They're all going to be just hanging out at home rather than out and socializing, because it's a hermit overlay that's affecting us during that 2nd line day. On the 26th, the Sun moves into the 3rd line of the 37, up into the line of the martyr. This occurs at 2:42 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time, where it is even-handedness. The success of any group is dependent on maintaining order. Exalted, it's the ability to judge what behavior is appropriate and react in a balanced manner to transgressions. The possibility to have the sensitivity to know what behavior is appropriate in a relationship. Detrimented, the ironic tendency to either test incessantly the borders of acceptability, or to respond to the very same tendency in others with sensitivity. The possible lack of sensitivity to what behavior is appropriate. Third line days, this is the third line. It's trial and error process, bonds made and broken. So when you think about this in looking at the day, it's a day to really be careful on the roads, be careful of swinging doors. Third days, again, are trial and error process. Things just gonna bump into you. It's a good material day. It's a good day for doing business and work on a material plane. But you also have to be careful, because things can really go wrong, because the third line is really about what leads us to discovery. And then on the 27th, the sun moves into the fourth line. So it's up here in the line of the opportunist. And again, we're still in the 37th hexagram and gate. And that shift is at 1:05 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time, where the sun is described as leadership by example. Any member of the family may take on a leading role through exemplary behavior. Exalted, it's the manifestation of the highest principles in everyday practical affairs. The possibility of the highest principles in all relationships resulting in a leadership role. Detrimented, it's a conservatism that generally only accepts the leadership of the father, who may or may not be a valued role model. The possibility of being insensitive to leadership of anyone other than those accepted by tradition. And fourth line days, a change. That's where we have this shift from an inward process to perspective, to starting to look around. So we've gone from the lower trigram, which is more of a personal process, into the upper trigram, which is a transpersonal process. The themes of friendship, of companionship, of networking. The fourth line day is great for social interactions. We're more open to networking, to being friendly and social. Rav said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. And then later on the 27th, the sun moves into the fifth line. And just to back up with what Ra said, yes, what's going on here has a conditioning force. And I know there's a lot of folks in human design that are all about, conditioning. Look, we're human beings. We're here to be conditioned. We're here to have experiences. This is why we're incarnated as humans. The thing with human design is it's about not making decisions based on your conditioning. It's about making decisions based on your strategy and authority. But Ra, when he talked about the different line days, he was talking about the fact that we can really use this energy to our advantage if you just happen to know what it is, I mean, it would be better to have a party on a fourth line day than to have it on a second line day. If you know what the patterns are, then you can kind of look at it and use this to your advantage. Just know that it's going to move on, it's going to change, and it's not you. It's just the neutrino field and how the neutrinos are impacting us every day. And what we're covering is the sun, and 70% of the neutrinos we experience come through the sun before they enter into us. So anyway, later on the 27th, the sun moves into this fifth line, into the line of the heretic. Again, we're still in the 37th hexagram. This occurs at 11:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so about a half hour before midnight Eastern Time. The sun in the 37.5 is described as love, the natural and unaffected devotion to family, exalted its natural harmony and perfect sharing. natural harmony and the possibility and sharing that's possible through friendship. Detrimented, it's an emotional tendency that often turns love into hatred. The possibility of dependence turning love into hate. Fifth line, again, it's heretical. It's a day of suspicion. It's a day of, but it's also a day of universalization. Something can leak out and spread very rapidly like a virus. YouTube videos where suddenly there's 3 million viewings. There's also a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on a third line day, which impacts the nature of our relationships. And there's also projection and seduction with the fifth line. I'm a 5-1 profile, so I've been very aware of this, but I honestly try to record and upload my videos, particularly human design videos, on a fifth line day. It's just a way of trying to use the energy that's out there to hopefully have the message be seen and interpreted and experienced on a more universally, so that's something that I do, knowing the lines and using this in my own personal life. On the 28th of February, the sun moves into the 6th line, into the role model line of the 37th hexagram, and this is at 9:52 p.m. again Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 37.6 is purpose. It's the energy to maintain the family is enhanced by recognizing its value. It's exalted. It's a gift of not only recognizing the inner meaning of the family, but the appreciation of its values. The possibility of extending friendships through the appreciation of values. Detrimented, it's a need for diversity that may ignore the achievements of the family in favor of withdrawal. The need for diversity that, despite appreciation, will prefer casual relationships. And then, 6-line days are not to get, the 6th line, think about it. 6th line's the role models looking beyond, is looking at what else is coming up. So, these days are not to get stuck with your head in the clouds, looking at everything that's coming up and end up having something banging into your kneecaps. A day where there's a real lack of focus on what's going on around you. And like the 3rd line day, there can be certain dangers, not seeing the car coming, not seeing the bill coming. If we're so looking forward into the future, we may not be really aware of what's happening in the now, particularly on a 6-line day. So, there are cautions. There's things that you can do to be aware of this and implement this information in your life for your betterment. Just know that it's the neutrino field. It's just affecting us in this way, and then it moves on. And that's why we have these reports, is so you know what's going on and what it's moving on to. Okay, anyway, March 1st, the sun moves from the 37, and it moves into up into the 63. See if I got a small one here I can do 63 with. Here, we'll just make this one a small one. And so we then have the sun up here in the 63. Oh, maybe not. Sorry, this is more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, here, we'll try it this way. The sun, this is very sticky. Stick to the board and not to my finger. The sun in the 63, we get the earth. It goes into from the 40 to the 64. And so we no longer have the 40 there. We no longer have a defined ego center in the design here. This shift happens at 8:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 63rd gate of doubt after completion. In the spiral of life, all endings are beginnings. The sun is exalted in the 63-1 as composure, the quality of the personality, where achievement is accepted with equanimity, where continued development is allowed to take its natural course, acceptance of achievement, but doubt whether continued development will take place. And of course, we were talking about the first line day. Again, it's a theme is fear. It's a fear that needs to be investigated in the line of the investigator. First line day is great for studying, but not taking action. It's good to look at things, but not to jump. It's a good day to deal with the things that you don't understand, and then so by investigating, you can make sense of what you're looking at. And then also on the first, Venus moves out of the 61 up here and down to the 60. So that brings another definition here. And so Venus goes in the 60. The thing to think about with human design, Venus is very powerful. It's also deeply misunderstood. It brings morality. Okay. Natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. It's about what disturbs you on a moral level. The moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, you can look at where's the Venus in your rave chart. If you do not act with moral clarity, Venus can really be nasty in its retribution. And in the 60, Venus is about the morality of acceptance. It's about limitation. Venus is exalted in the first line of the 60, which is also called acceptance. The ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted with external limitations. Harmonic energy that can deal with external limitations. With Venus in the 60 and the South Node here in the 3, difficulty at the beginning, we have the channel of mutation until March 8th. And this is a design of energy which initiates and fluctuates. It acts as a pulse. This definition brings an unexpected quantum leap that something new comes into the world if we are physically present. This is about evolution that comes through radical change. It brings a pressure to change the way things are done, but because it operates as a pulse, the timing really is unpredictable. This may be a time period where folks could unexpectedly change their whole direction in life, which in turn has a ripple effect on others, forcing them to grow and adapt to the shifting landscape of their relationships, which ultimately leads to empowerment, because this is an individual channel, which is the individual channels are all about empowerment. It's like the channel of emoting over here. This is individual, acoustic. It comes with that quality of melancholy, of feeling blue that can be put into creative aspects in our life. It also brings the sacral definition, which is unfamiliar to non-sacral types of projectors, manifestors, reflectors. So it's paramount that these folks follow their strategy and authority. With this transit, we're likely to see people moving from order to chaos and back. With the sacral definition, this could be deeply frustrating as we experience instability of the channel of mutation. It also brings like this potential for real darkness and a tension of feeling stuck. And so staying present in the now and following your strategy authority could lead to a feeling as though we emerge with a fresh new persona through riding the pulse in the week ahead. And this week, the sun is moving through the 37, the 63, this week and the weeks to come, 37, the 63, the 22, and the 36, which are all associated with the Mitra God's head. as we continue to move through the quarter of initiation. So we're exploring the qualities of the mind as it relates to form. How does the personality relate to the design, being a mind inside a body? And Mitra, it was an important Indo-Iranian divinity that is derived from the common noun Mitra, which means covenant, treaty, agreement, or promise. In Sanskrit, it means friend, which of course is also the meaning of the 37th hexagram. It's the gate of friendship. So this is about a contract between form and what sustains form. The mind sets up a series of contracts as we begin with the 37, which is tribal, with its themes of resources and support. So it asks, if I'm alive, will I get what I need in life? Whether it's stimulating people or interesting things to do or answers to my question, but ultimately, ultimately now that the question is, now that I've been born, what form will it work out on the most basic levels? So we have these other questions, but we're also it's tribal with the 37. So we're thinking about food and clothing and shelter, as well as the bigger questions that we were just discussing. And if you go back to our ancestors, Mitra is the energy of having an agreement to have what we need to live. They interpret it as a relationship with God, a commitment with God to be the sustainer. In reality, this is just neutrinos moving through space, which carry a particular intelligent quality that the mind then turns into a story to try to know what is unknowable. The repetition of the sun's movement through the wheel becomes a belief system that we're going to have something greater than ourselves take care of us. This is the mind taking control and asking questions about the way things work, which then kind of gets manipulated into a belief system that has the possibility for transformation or not. Can we be conscious in this form? Being a human being, are we just going to be an animal, an organic form, or can we have some awareness? Can we find consciousness? And what's interesting to me about the gates of Mitra, three of the four gates are in the solar plexus. So Mitra is clearly about awareness. And we talked about global cycles last week related to the movement of the precession of the equinox from the 37th hexagram first line into the 55th hexagram sixth line, which is going to occur in 2027, which of course is represented as the movement from the Mitra god's head into Kali, the movement of the covenant of God, society, the tribe, and governments, that to provide what we need as a form that then shifts to change the individual in the field of time through birth, death, and resurrection, which is represented by Kali. So the interplay between spirit and matter is the theme of Mitra, but then the global cycle and the shift into the 55 is the energetic backs into the hexagram of pure spirit and the realm of Kali. So, this is really kind of important, and we're going to keep talking about the shifts that are coming up, as we move closer and closer to 2027. Which is going to, be a major transformation of human consciousness and also the human species. So anyway, one of the things I like to think about is no matter what these energies are that are conditioning you during this fourth week of February, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature. Watch a sunrise or sunset. Commune with the stars. Just try to be, elevate your awareness by being conscious of the moment through introspection or meditation or just being truly present with somebody you love. Because I believe every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas that are beckoning to distract us. We're all here just trying to give the performance of our lifetime on the world stage. But, just embrace passenger consciousness. Take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember, you're a spiritual being that just happens to be having a human experience. So I'd like to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for March 2nd of 2014. It should be available by the 1st when we'll continue to look at the influences of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. We're also going to be dig a little bit deeper in talking about the definitions of the channel of Emoting and the channel of Mutation. And you can check us out on Facebook or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. I'll also be discussing the transits of March 2014 and providing some short human design readings to the participants of the Earth Needs Rebel show on Orion Talk Radio on Monday, March 3rd. I'm on the show from 1:30 to 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a great opportunity if you want to make contact and come on the show because the Earth Needs Rebels will, if you text them or send them a message with your contact information, your telephone number, they will call you free anywhere on the earth to bring you on the show. So if you want to come in, get a nice 10, 15, 20-minute reading of your chart or ask some questions about the transits or anything else, feel free to contact Katie and we'll bring you on the show. It won't cost you anything for the phone call. It won't cost you anything to get a reading. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com. If you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading, a paid reading, so if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. I have 3 different levels of reading, so I try to adjust the costs so that they fit people's budgets, so that everybody can get something. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the United States, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to try to keep New World Birth and these videos freely available. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. And as Ra would say, love yourself. And I really look forward to connecting with you, perhaps as a reading, perhaps on the radio show, certainly in upcoming videos. So my undying gratitude to you for taking the time to connect with us. Peace, everybody.